Welcome back to Daytona International Speedway as part of the Daytona 200 and the conclusion of Daytona Bike Week as well. But right now it is time for the BellissiMoto Twins Cup Championship to kick off the 2024 season as bikes are now leaving pit lane to go out for their sighting lap. I am Jamie Howell, joined in the broadcast booth by Roger Hayden. Roger, you have raced here at Daytona International Speedway, not aboard a Twins Cup bike, but you certainly have the track experience. What do these guys need to keep in mind?
Here you just got to, you can see the flags there in the background there. That's one thing you really got to focus here with before the race. With the Florida wind can really pick up. You can get a tailwind going down into turn one or going into the chicane, so it's something you have to keep up with in the draft.
Here's the way the riders will all line up based off of qualifying. Our pole sitter, Gus Rodeo, he led the practice session, he led both qualifying sessions, and certainly earned that pole position this weekend. As we go on back through the field, Romeo Chiavini and Caleb DeCarroll, certainly they're both looking to make a name for themselves this season. Ray Hoffman rounding out row number 4. Just a stacked field of riders, Roger.
Yeah, you can just go all the way down to the grid. You know, Tyler Huffey there 13th. And Sonia Lloyd, Build Train Race Program last year. It's cool to see her in the Twins Cup this year.
Jeffrey Perk, Joshua Cruz. Moving on back through the field, row 7 is led by Brad Fass and Nick Cook right behind him, with Rodney Vest rounding out row number 7. Edwin, and we've got Arthur Diaz, Gino Angela. Lots of new faces, lots of riders perhaps in new places as well, but this is the way every season starts, and everybody wants to show what they did in the off season here.
And this is kind of get the year started. You know, you kind of stressed and you're worried about, man, did we do enough this off season? You're about to come to Daytona and get that answer, and I think the biggest thing we've seen this weekend so far in Twins Cup is how fast Gus Rodeo has been.
And here is a look at the weather and the conditions we have currently. 74 degrees Fahrenheit right now, 80% humidity, that 10-mile-an-hour wind, pretty consistent with what we've seen all day. But the clouds are starting to move back in as we get to the later part of this afternoon, and that humidity is going to continue to rise as this race goes on.
And also with the cloud cover too, the track temps can come down a little bit as well. So it's going to be a little bit different. These guys were out on track this morning where it was a little bit cooler, and now it's going to be different this afternoon, and it might take them a couple laps to kind of figure out the track surface and the track temp change.
The track temperature this morning when they went out for their qualifying session, it was under 70 degrees. So there's been a pretty big swing. It got up to about 85 at one point this afternoon, and now it's starting to cool back off. But different conditions nonetheless. As everyone makes their way to their spots on pit lane. Roger, Gus Rodeo has been so important, or so impressive throughout the sessions this weekend. Do you think he has a target on his back? Is this one his to lose?
I think he does, and winning last year as well, so he definitely has the target on his back this weekend, and we'll see how Gus handles it.
The lights are in the top of the screen. We are going racing. As soon as those lights come on, they're going to go right back off. Lights are out, and it's time to start the 2024 BellissiMoto Twins Cup season. And it's action right away, Roger.
Right away, Rocco Landers with a tremendous start. Going to lead him out of turn 1, and I think Rocco, being a smart rider that he is, wants to get out in the lead early and kind of control this race at the front if he possibly can, and also stay with Gus if Gus does try to make the break.
Yeah, Gus hasn't had anybody finish a session ahead of him. I don't think the Rocco's been in the lead at all throughout the qualifying and practice session this weekend. Oh, there are riders down in the back of the shot.
It's like Caleb.
Yes, that is that pink CJ nose bike.
Maybe Ed Sullivan and
for Caleb DeCarroll. Ed Sullivan was right there on track near him. It does look like that blue. Both riders have got up. That's unfortunate for Caleb DeCarroll and CJ Zia. You know, one of the things that he did coming into this weekend, he bought hundreds of tickets for MotoAmerica. He has the Latin American Motorcycle Association out here watching and hosting them. So unfortunate for that group as they watch Caleb. And watch this replay.
Just see, looks like Ed had a crash and really Caleb had nowhere to go. You can see he gets up and he's a little bit frustrated. But, you know, going to pick up the bike and try to get back in the race. Might not get no points, but you never know what could happen. Red flag could come out and make a restart. But you see now, looks like Gus is at the front now, and you can tell he's already pulled out about a half a second lead.
Yeah, Gus was able to make that pass on Rocco where we were watching all of those replays happen. And now Rocco's going to sit behind him and figure some things out.
And I think the thing now for Rocco is just, you know, is to see if he can hang on with Gus. And it looks like right now, you know, it's going to be difficult. Gus has just kind of been in, you know, a league of his own so far this weekend. And you see, it looks like this group behind Rocco, he's going to get in this battle.
And if that group gets up there as they are now, just a little bit closer, using the draft, Rocco's going to become a part of that. He'll be able to use the draft over the next couple of laps and maybe close that gap to Gus Rodeo.
Yeah, Rocco ran a little bit wide there in turn one, but what about Avery Dreyer? His first Twins Cup race there, second right now, and he's in a really good spot. And also Alessandro DeMario, another guy, first Twins Cup race for them. This is a great opportunity for them to get out and ride with a guy like Rocco Landers, who's won a Twins Cup championship before.
Yes, Avery Dreyer making that move up from Junior Cup, now finding himself in the third position. His new team, Top Pro Racing, they couldn't say enough good things about him and just how he's able to hop on the bike and immediately get it up to speed, but then also be able to sit down and give really good feedback. And that's really what they're looking for as they build their team up. And they have 8 bikes that are going to be out here in the various classes this season. But right now, up front, it is all about Gus Rodeo.
Yeah, that last lap through, he already had a second lead. And you can tell this infield sector is where we were watching practice and qualifying all week, where Gus has just been really strong. And he just went through there almost a second quicker than the rest of the guys. And, you know, Gus is just, like I said, he's just riding so well, so much momentum carrying over from last year.
This pack breaking up a little bit. We've got 2 riders together now. It was a group of 5 that last lap. So everybody's settling in a little bit. 7 laps remaining. Do you settle now, Roger, or is it you got to get up there and just be aggressive?
Yeah, for most of the guys, they're trying not to let Gus get away, and you know that didn't happen. So you see these 2 guys, it looks like they could be in their own battle, and then you have the 3 guys behind them, and they need to work together and not let these 2 guys kind of get away. But I feel like if Avery and Alessandro DeMario can work together, they could probably pull away from that little group behind them and have their own battle.
Avery Dreyer now moved up into that second position with Alessandro DeMario in third. Rocco Landers back into fourth. He had that really good start, but he continues to slip back. Yeah, just making some mistakes here and there. Ran wide a little bit there in turn one. Kind of struggled a little bit this weekend, and he might be in one of those places where, you know, things might not be ready for the pace that he wants to go, and he could be maybe forcing the issue, and that's where the mistakes are coming. We just saw him look over his shoulder where he saw Rossi Moore on that number 92 Suzuki right there behind him. Is he looking to see how close somebody is? And yeah, just looking to see who else is behind him, and he sees Rossi Moore, another rookie guy on the Vision Wheel M4 X-Star Suzuki team, and both these 2 guys are on a Suzuki, even though it's different teams, so it's going to be interesting to see those 2 kind of get together and maybe see where the other one might match up a little bit better. See the pack now getting spread out a little bit. This is going to give everybody some room here. We're on lap 3 of 9. Do they take advantage of the space that they have, make up something in the infield? I think all these guys are going to be trying to get in the draft, and you see these 2 really working well together and kind of pulling away from that group in fourth, where it's Ben Glotty now. And I think for Ben was a little bit quicker than that group that he was in, and now he just needs to try to see if he can get away and maybe possibly get in these 2 guys draft a little bit, because if he can just get it a little bit on the banking, it should bring him right up to him. One of the questions that we had asked before this race got started was if we were going to see the number 25 Yamaha Dominic Doyle out here on the racetrack. If you were watching before Twins Cup, it was the Mission Super Hooligans race, and Dominic Doyle was not able to finish that race following an incident that occurred in turn 6, but he is out there right now and inside of the top 10. Yeah, and it's just great to see him out there. Last year here, you know, had a couple issues in the races and didn't finish, so for him not to
not the best start, but he's able out there after that incident. And you see Gus right there on the left, just putting the laps in, and just like he did in practice, just out there. And he talked about it in practice a lot, going out there and doing those laps and not following people. So when he gets to the race, he can do those lap times and not depend on someone else, and he's doing it. He's pulled out this last lap a 2.5-second lead.
Think about the significance of having this split screen shot right here. It's the leader on the left, and the battle for second is on the right. They're not even close enough to be in the same camera frame, so having to split them apart, that bodes well for Gus Rodeo in the season that's ahead.
Yeah, and just watching the lap times, he's almost about a second faster than the other guys behind him, but the other two guys are it's their rookie race, and I think this is a great start for them, for Avery and Alessandro, just to be able to be in that battle that they're in now, and how much they're going to learn in this draft. And you can see these guys just going back and forth, and really when you see it now, and maybe Rocco's maybe slowed down a little bit, but he's not pulling as much as he was at one time, but maybe he's also just kind of settled in.
Yeah, that was Gus Rodeo leading the way. There's Rocco Landers right there back in fourth position, battling with Ben Glotty to try and stay relevant and ahead of the rest of the field. But that gap that he's built, but to your point, it's the rookie race for both Avery Dreyer and Alessandro Di Mario, and there's so many things to learn, but what this does is it legitimizes their move up to Twins Cup.
It does, and also it's going to bode well for them as they move on throughout this season as well, having this strong race here. And Gus this time around has just been so consistent in the high 55s, a 3.5-second lead now. And you see Rocco there making the move into fourth, and Rocco's been consistent with his pace now, and looks like he's kind of starting to eliminate the mistakes and kind of feel his flow. Rocco didn't settle on this bike till yesterday morning in the first practice, and then to go racing the next day is not easy.
No, it was Terry Vance and Vance and Hines that reached out to Rocco. They have him not only on this bike, but we're going to see him on their Mission King of the Baggers bike later on this afternoon, as well as for the full season. So they're going through the motions right now of learning each other and figuring out what it is that Rocco needs on the bike to be comfortable and to be able to go for ultimately a championship at the end of the season. But Rocco's been very honest in the fact that making this return to Twins Cup is going to take a little bit to get comfortable and work out some of those things, and no matter what, they get to go racing.
Yeah, and for them, the Suzuki's brand new as well, the GSX-R 8, so that's something that they kind of got late, and they don't have a lot of time development that either. So for Rocco and those guys, kind of a good start to the year, get some points. And also when you look behind them, you see Dominic Doyle and also Rossi Moore, a rookie into this class as well, and he's having a good run as well, just right there on the back of that group of Rocco and Ben Glotty.
Just can't say enough about Gus Rodeo and what he's been able to put together over the last 2 days. He now has a lead of 3.7 seconds over the rest of the competition. The last lap by, he did his best lap of the race, a 1:55.6. He's continuing to improve as that fuel is burning off. His tires are getting a little bit older, but he is certainly looking comfortable.
Yeah, and his consistency every lap has just been within a couple tenths, and that's just impressive to do when you're out there in the lead. This lap 56.0, and his best lap is a 55.6. So you can see just his whole race has been within 4 tenths, and that's hard when you're out there by yourself, to stay concentrated, and he's doing a good job.
And he's also being able to put these laps together on his own. Now, he doesn't have anybody that he's battling with. There's nothing that he's having to think about or look behind him for. But when you look at the speed, he's at 151.5 miles an hour every time. When he comes past the speed trap, Rocco Landers is now dropping down into positions a little bit as Dominic Doyle has made that pass up into fourth position. But you put into perspective the speed, somebody that has the help that's in the draft, that would be like Rocco Landers. That last lap, he was at 157 miles an hour. So he certainly has the help that he needs, whereas somebody like Gus Rodeo does not.
Yeah, and just out there pushing his own air, and for Rocco able to try to use that draft. And we've seen he lost a couple spots through there, and now we see Alessandro Di Mario and just kind of snuck into class this year and really been impressive all weekend, qualified inside the top 6 or 7, and now really good start from him. And I think this is a good opportunity for both of these guys just to go out and battle for not only just the podium, but just log these laps here at Daytona. They keep going back and forth, and it's going to be interesting to see how these two play their strategy out, to see which one if they, you know, make it to the end, which one gets second, which one gets third.
Yeah, it's going to come down to who made that move first and who gets to make the move at the end because of the back and forth action that we've seen between the two of them as we get ready to go towards the checkered flag. But that's still 4 laps away. They could trade positions 10 more times before then.
Yeah. And Dominic Doyle, if, you know, things didn't go the way they did, he would he's doing the same lap times as the guys second and third last lap, actually a little bit quicker than those guys. So he's got the speed. He just kind of had to work through the pack, and that's unfortunate for him. But right now, he's doing a really good job there, and, you know, not trying to force himself to catch these guys, knowing that it's not likely going to happen, and just taking what he can get.
Avery Dreyer sitting in second place right now. He's looking to move up the racetrack, try and get a little closer to Gus Rodeo, use the help of Alessandro DiMario that he is battling with. Take a look at these intervals right now. Gus Rodeo has a 4.8-second lead over the rest of the field, Roger.
Yeah, and you can see that last lap, he kind of finally started to slow down a little bit, and just kind of probably watching his pit board and seeing he almost has about a 5-second lead and not force it. And throwing it down the road, we've seen some guys make some mistakes this weekend, and Gus definitely doesn't want to do that with the 5-second lead, and Avery's doing a really good job here, just, you know, watching him on the Twins Cup bike and how he's not making a ton of mistakes, a few here and there, and that's going to be part of it.
Put your rookie shoes back on as that gap now grows to over 5.5 seconds, Roger. With these two riders making this move up, knowing that you're that far behind the leader of the race, are you rejuvenated in the fact that you were there for the podium, you were there in case anything happened, or are you a little frustrated with the fact that you're so far back?
I think they'd be happy with it to start their Twins Cup career with the podium, you know, and be excited for that, because they did beat some really good guys. But, you know, as the year goes on, they're not going to want this gap to be 5 seconds, you know, as a couple races down the road. Now they have something that they can work toward, and if it's 5 seconds at the end of this race, hopefully tomorrow will make it 4.5, and just keep kind of closing that overall gap to Gus. But I think to start their year out, good solid podium finish, they would have to be pretty happy with that.
Another name up there you see on that scoring pylon as we go back to the split screen. That is our leader, Gus Rodeo, on the left-hand side of your screen. That is the battle for second that continues between Alessandro DiMario and Avery Dreyer on the right-hand side, as those two continue to swap positions based off who has their turn in the draft. And with 2 laps to go, Roger, if it continues this way, it looks like it might end up being Alessandro DiMario's turn to ride that draft to the checkered flag.
And these two are going back and forth and running wide, and you can see Dominic Doyle is really starting to come that picture. And we talked about maybe Gus was going to maybe slow down and start taking it easy a little bit with the big lead. His last lap was his best lap of the race at 155.616. So he's not slowing down, he's just getting faster.
And he is now over a second quicker than anyone else through the infield, that first sector out on the racetrack. So he has certainly settled into something that he is comfortable with, and he has a bike that is handling just as well as he could hope. And again, on the right-hand side of your screen, this is the battle for second place between the number 27 Aprilia of Alessandro DiMario and the number 99 of Avery Dreyer.
This will be a good rehearsal for Alessandro right here, being behind Avery, going to the white flag to see if he's able to make that draft. And if he can pretty easily, then I would just kind of stay behind, you know, the lap and just stay there.
These two riders, I mean, obviously they know they've been battling the whole time, going back and forth. As Gus Rodeo now goes across the white flag, we are starting this final lap of this race. How aggressive do they have to be to not let the other rider get the advantage in the draft?
Well, if they keep playing, you know, and kind of slowing each other up, look at Dominic Doyle. He is right there. If he puts this infield section together, Dominic Doyle, you can see how they're both a little bit wide, and Dominic just perfect corner there, and he's going to be one of these guys, and he might be able to sneak on the podium.
Dominic was all the way back in the 7th position at one point during this race, and he has certainly been able to claw his way back up there and going to get a solid result. almost 11 seconds now Gus Rodeo has been able to build up, while these three now we have been battling, and they'll continue to battle all the way to the checkered flag for that final spot on the podium.
And this is where it's going to start getting interesting through here. Is just, you know, we go through the second horseshoe, getting a good run out of here, and then we start getting the run on the banking where the draft is going to start coming into play. See Dom there, and Avery looks like he ran a little bit wide there in turn 6. I don't know if he did that on purpose to maybe fall back and try to get behind in the draft, but you can see now he definitely let Alessandro in front of him.
Is that a lesson learned, you think?
I don't know if it was a mistake or what, but you can see Dominic Doyle, what he's able to do now that he's going to be in this draft, and how these guys are going to be all bunched up by the time they get to the chicane. And that just shows you right there what that draft can do.
And again, on the left-hand side of your screen, that is our race leader. That is Gus Rodeo on that number 96 machine as he was coming through traffic, but he is certainly all on his own in terms of going for the race win here in the first race of the 2024 BellissiMoto Twins Cup Championship. He led every session this weekend. He led practice. He led both qualifying sessions. He was our pole sitter going into the race today. And as he now crosses the checkered flag, Gus Rodeo will be our first winner in the BellissiMoto's Twin Cup Championship. But who is going to finish second?
Dominic Doyle.
Dominic Doyle has been able to slingshot his way through, and he crosses the finish line to take home second. And Avery Dreyer making the move up to Twins Cup from Junior Cup. He lands on the final spot of the podium.
Is brought to you by BellissiMoto, where the biggest names in custom bike building shop for parts. And by Dunlop, the official tire of the MotoAmerica Championship Series.
Here as part of Bike Week, you saw those beautiful shots coming from Main Street, but how about this celebration now that we are getting from Gus Rodeo up in the wheelie? He worked for it in the offseason. He knew he needed to come in with something to prove, Roger, and he was able to put it all together and make it all happen. Let's look at some of these replays that we watch here. This is the replay of the finish. That's Dominic Doyle. That is how close it was going to the checkered flag to see who was going to finish second. Avery Dreyer was only 0.03 of a second behind Dominic Doyle, and he's going to finish on the third step of the podium. We'll come back and we'll celebrate with all of these riders right after this.
Here at MotoAmerica King of the Baggers, we run these Harley Davidsons at top-notch pace. And to do that, you need the most important thing, Motul 300V. We run these bikes full tilt, peak horsepower, the most advanced technological baggers, V-twin engines you'll ever find. And there's only one kind of oil that I'm gonna put in this bike, and it's this Motul 300V.
These baggers have advanced so much in the 3 years that we've been racing them. These things have power almost of a super bike, but they weigh 620 pounds. When they go this fast and they weigh this much, it's really important to have performance brakes and braking power. You could have the best calipers, the best rotors on there, but if you don't have really good brake fluid, it's not really gonna matter. My choice is Motul RBF factory line brake fluid. That's what Team Saddlemen puts in every single one of their baggers, because it gives us consistent braking every single time. Doesn't matter how hot, how cold it is, how fast we go, we're always able to stop with the Motul brake fluid that we use. But the performance of these baggers is unreal, and we just need something that can keep up with it. And honestly, the Motul brake fluid is the only top-of-the-line brake fluid that we've been able to find that can keep up with the stopping power that we need on these big old 620-pound race bikes.
We run not only the 300V in the engine, we run transmission oil, primary oil, brake fluid, you name it. It's what we use because it's the best.
And as bikes are now rolling into victory lane, you saw that number 25 of Dominic Doyle, who got the second place finish right there at the line. But Roger Hayden, the last hour for Dominic, we've just learned, has been pretty eventful. We questioned whether or not he was going to be out there for this race following the incident that we saw during that Super Hooligans race.
Yeah, in the Super Hooligans race, if you was watching, we had that red flag, and Dominic Doyle was actually part of it. He separated his shoulder. He went to medical. They popped it back in, and then he had to do push-ups to make sure that he was fit to ride through MotoAmerica. He started last, and he worked his way all the way up to second. Just an incredible ride by Dominic, and just be able to keep his head on and not make a mistake. And just you can see he's favoring that right arm a little bit.
He is, and he came into this season wanting to prove that he was worthy of being out here and make everybody that believed in him through the offseason believe it going into the rest of the season. So job well done to him. Lorette?
Gus Rodeo just taking off his helmet, and what an incredible feat he just put forth with an 11-second gap to second place. Gus Rodeo, what do you attribute that to?
All last year and whatnot. So I won by 8 seconds last year, 11.2 or something this year. We keep moving forward. The pace last year in the race was, I think, kind of slowed down in the middle of the race. I was like, all right, well, I'm going to try this whole like maintain a lead type thing, because I usually just go, and just that's usually like kind of obviously when I do my best. So I tried to maintain it, and then I was like, mistakes, kind of not riding as hard as I can. So I just went late race pace, was still in the 55s, and it worked out good. So I got everybody watching back home, holding it down, and HJC, Day and Easy for the new threads, and the whole team, Rich, my dad, Frank, the whole robe, everybody, I really appreciate it. Shout out Geoscape Solar, BellissiMoto, who else? Spellcaster Productions, High Dennis Mob Racing, and of course Aprilia. Thank you.
Gus Rodeo, congratulations on that win for the Twins Cup. And number 25, Dominic Doyle. Dominic, you have had quite a day in that crash. You have suffered a separated shoulder. You had to prove to them that you were okay, and now in second place. Congratulations.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I really didn't know if I'd out for the Twins race, and the medical team did a great job getting me in and out of there, and I ran to the grid and made my personal sponsors, CV Racing, Con Racing, everyone that supports me and gets me here. It was kind of a whirlwind of a day, but I'm glad we're up here.
Congratulations on second place, Dominic Doyle, and in third, Avery Dreher. Avery, you just found a rhythm really quickly.
Pro Motorsports team for bringing me on this year. They've done a great job for giving me an amazing bike. Thank you to Dale Corley for all his coaching and for helping me go fast. He's the reason why I'm on this podium. To run with Gus, but we're gonna try to figure out something for tomorrow. The bike felt amazing. Grip was good. I just was trying to play the waiting game, and unfortunately Dom got me. I couldn't do anything about that, but yeah, I'm happy with the podium in my Twins Cup debut, and thank you to the whole Top Pro Motorsports team again, KYT, and my whole family for always supporting me.
Congratulations. Jamie, let's go back up to you.
There's certainly a lot of happy faces down there. I want to take a moment and apologize for some of those audio issues. Those will work themselves out as the rest of the day unfolds. But now it is time to turn our attention back to the racetrack, and we are going to get ready for the Mission King of the Baggers, the first race of their 2024 season, Roger.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it after we've seen a little bit of the challenge day, and Kyle Wyman wasn't out there, so it's going to be interesting to see all these guys out there and see what it's like. We got some new faces. We got a new champion in this class. We got Rocco Landers moving this class as well. So I'm really excited to see all these guys out there and what it looks like this year.
And that Troy Herfoss, that's a name that you certainly have heard as the day during the day today. You won that Super Hooligans race in the last little bit here. Now he's going to take to the pole for the first race of the Super Hooligans race. Now, if you want to watch this Mission King of the Baggers race in live in its entirety, you are going to have to go ahead and get yourself set up on MotoAmerica Live Plus, where you've been listening and watching. You can subscribe today. Go to MotoAmericaLivePlus.com and complete your subscription process. This is where you can see the full race weekend, not only just the Mission King of the Baggers race that's about to unfold here, but all of the sessions throughout the entire 2024 seasons will bring you practice and qualifying weekend and week out.